Welcome back to another episode of Detroit 360, your personal guide to all things Detroit. I'm your host, Sheila Grant. Hey guys, I'm here at the Sunoco on the corner of Van Dyke and Mack, and it's a Project Greenlight partner. In just a few minutes, I'm going to go inside and talk to Alex, who manages this place, and he's going to share with me how he says that being a Project Greenlight partner actually improves his business. And after that, I want you to stay tuned to this next piece on the Detroit Police Department's Real-Time Crime Center.
We've seen a major progression in overall decline in violent crime, and not by accident. I'd like to emphasize not by accident. So how did we do it? How are we doing it?
I'm Lieutenant Sania Russell, and we're here at the Detroit City Police Department's Real-Time Crime Center. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through a day in the life of the Real-Time Crime Center. We currently have 231 green lights within the city of Detroit. We have intelligence specialists and crime analysts assigned here. Greenlight has been instrumental in reducing crime throughout our cities.
My name is Steve Cruikshank. I'm an intelligence specialist with the Crime Intelligence Unit, and specifically I work with the Counterterrorism Task Force. So I'm going to play a video for you of a shooting and robbery that happened outside one of our Greenlight locations. So as you can see, what you don't see is our victim is walking up right here. The robbers both get out of their vehicle. She shot once already, and then has dropped her purse, and then they shoot her again. And I'll drag it back for you because if you'll notice, when they get out, she's actually going to point up to the, where there's a green light sign. Right here, she points. You can almost see that she's trying to show them that it's a green light location, that they're on camera. And so because we actually had this up, we were able to notify a scout on the street who was able to actually flag this car down. They're able to get an arrest, recover the weapon. Within, I think they had them all within a couple hours. It was like 15 minutes later, they were arrested and all that. The 4 RICs in front of us, the real-time crime consoles, they're responding to specific precincts in the city, and so they're listening to that radio so that they know, hey, I'm listening to, say, 3rd Precinct, I'm listening to the 3rd Precinct radio, I'm watching cameras that are in the 3rd Precinct, so I kind of have a feel for what's going on with that precinct.
So what type of technology do we have here at the Real-Time Crime Center? Well, we have facial recognition, we have license plate readers, we have teller monitoring for 3M, and of course we do workups for Part 1 crime. A workup is basically a background overview of whoever we're investigating. The reason why the workup is important is because the officers that's actually on the street are able to continue to do whatever they're handling on the street while we're actually here in real time completing the administrative part of the paperwork. License plate readers are important because they give us historical data. So our units such as homicide or investigative entities are able to go back and actually pull up that footage to solve crime. The teller monitoring 3M is important because it lets us know and alerts us to parole or probationaries that's in the area that may be committing a crime. And we can get coordinates to locate as to who those individuals are and who is in that location so that we can appropriately do an investigation to solve the crime. Facial recognition in conjunction with other police departments in the area, we utilize that as a reference basically for criminal activity. Thank you for joining me. Any business owner that's interested in Project Greenlight, you can contact us at 313-596-2250. Thank you again and have a great day.
Continuing our theme on safety, this next piece shows how an officer gets involved and talks with students about gun violence.
A 13-year-old girl killed in what appears to be an accidental shooting.
Young kids at home, guns, not a good combination. I mean, people have to get mad. I mean, you have to say enough is enough. Get a gun lock. If you're going to have a gun in your home, get a gun lock. The Detroit Police Department offers free gun locks. No questions asked.
A young boy and a young girl, they were in the basement of this house on the east side. They was two friends. She was 13, he was about 14. The father say, hey, you guys hungry? They say, yeah. So it was the winter. He put his coat on, his boots on. He said, I'll go get you guys a hot and ready. So he got in that car and he pulled off. Kids were left in the basement. It's a gun in that corner, shotgun. It's a rifle, so the boy grabbed it. He started aiming at the little bitty 13-year-old girl's face, and she said, boy, stop. He said, it's all right, stop. He looking at it, he playing with it, he's examining it. But this time was different. He grabbed it again and he pointed it at her face again, and he took his index finger, he put it in the trigger hole of that rifle, and he started squeezing. He started squeezing and squeezing, and pow! It did like any other gun would do. It went off. It fired. At that time, the father came home and he heard some commotion. He dropped the pieces. He ran downstairs and he saw this little bitty girl who had just got hit in the face by the bullets of a rifle, and she was on the ground bleeding profusely. He called 911. Police made it first because they were in the area. They didn't care about blood-borne pathogens or anything. They saw this 13-year-old girl laying on the ground. They were upset. They grabbed her. Who cares about those fluids? We need to get her to the hospital. They got her to the hospital. You had family that made it to the hospital. She's in the emergency room. Everybody in the family, they was all crying. A lot of them was on their knees singing and praying, and everybody just started coming and coming and coming and coming. And about an hour later, 1 hour later, the doctors and the surgeons and the staff that was assisting this young girl, they all walked out to that waiting room. And they say, I'm so sorry, but we did everything that we could do. And they say, she just didn't make it that day. No more selfies, no prom, no wedding, no college, no 21st birthday, no 30th birthday, no more family reunions. It's all over with, it's all done, it's all gone. All because they chose to play with a gun. Okay, how old you are, we're gonna talk about what to do in case you find a gun. There's only two things that could come out of a kid and a gun: devastation or death.
EJ asked his mom if he could go play with friends on Monday, since they were out of school for a snow day. She said okay. He went to this house on Tireman to play video games with 3 teens he knew well. EJ's 13-year-old friend went to his grandmother's bedroom, found where she hides her gun, loaded it, and started playing with it. Police say they believe he then accidentally shot EJ in the back, killing him.
Kids are dying. What more do you have to do to encourage someone to put a gun lock on a gun?
And so what we teach kids is very simple, 4 things: stop, don't touch it, run away, tell a grown-up. If you got a little bitty kid that live in a house with you, a little cousin or brother or sister, you need to tell them if they ever see a gun, stop, don't touch it, run away, tell a grown-up, call the police, call a fireman, tell somebody. Kids and guns don't mix.
The victim is 14 years old. His name is Fred Austin. This all went down around 7:30. That's when there was a report of shots fired. Fred was unfortunately shot to death behind a vacant house on Radnor by a 13-year-old. Right now, they're still trying to figure out exactly what happened, if this is some sort of argument or beef that started on Facebook, or if Fred Austin was accidentally shot.
You know, I was connected to the junior police cadets last year and this year. Last year was a junior police cadet named Reggie. And he was my site. I had a site at my precinct, and me and Reggie, I would take him home, and I would talk to him a lot. I had 5 cadets, but he just stood out the most. And why? Because he had this story. Reggie told me that earlier last year, like in February, he had been shot. He was going to Westside Academy. His mama pulled him out that school, and they put him in a school in Garden City. Everybody loved him. He was doing good. And then I got with him. He was a cadet. He would go with me to talk about gun safety. We would have lunch. It was just something about this kid.
17-year-old Reginald Robinson from Detroit, a senior at Cambridge High in Garden City, was shot and killed Friday night at approximately 6:30 p.m. Reginald was with his buddies inside this party store, 1 block down on Plymouth, when 2 women walked in. Reginald's buddy, Christopher, told investigators a man they didn't know made a disparaging remark about one of the women.
Somebody said, damn, she got a big booty, so we all started laughing. I guess she thought it was us.
Reginald and his buddies walked out of the party store. They walked 1 block to Plymouth and Myers when the 2 women from the party store drove up in a dark sedan.
I was right next to the car, but she moved a gun past me and pointed his way and shot.
They aimed at little Reggie Robinson's face, and they pulled that trigger and shot him in his face, and he lost his life that day. This boy who was in this same room, in that same auditorium, got his life together. He was going to graduate this year, and now he's gone and ain't never coming back. This thing is serious. I'm sure somebody in the room got some family members who've been killed or shot. This is a real thing. Dr. Martin Luther King said that darkness can't drive out darkness. What? Only light can do that. Then he said hate can't drive out hate. What? Only love can do that. Peace and love. That's what we need to be spreading. Peace and love. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
I was actually riding one day, and I had a guy, he was maybe about 35 or 38, and, you know, I approached him and I was talking to him about recruiting and, you know, the job, and, you know, he said to me, he was like, you know, really, I would never even stop for you or even talk to you, you know, if, you know, you was a Caucasian guy or, you know, if you was an older guy. And for some reason, a lot of people out here that's in the city, that's how they feel, you know, especially with a lot of things that have been going on. You know, it's people, you know, they're scared now when they see us. You know, they don't know how to react or how we're going to react. You know, if the police are, they don't know if we're just trying to jump out on them and pat them down, or so they actually be really surprised, you know, when we're just pulling up just to talk to them, you know, especially offering a job. You know, you see a lot of people out here, it's hard to find a job. So coming on with a high school diploma or your GED, a valid driver's license, a lot of people don't think that they actually qualify for doing this. You know, you don't have any college credit. They look, oh, you know, I gotta go to college. I'm like, nah, you know, you're good. We train you everything. So I think they really, you just open their eyes, I should say, to opportunities. I'm Officer Payne.
Bro, nice to meet you, bro.
Officer Payne.
Nice to meet you.
Hey fellas, come on, why you come over here, y'all dancing and what's not, man. I wanted to kick it with y'all real quick. I'm actually from recruiting, so actually what we out here trying to do is actually give some information to, you know, our guys, man, especially, you know, in the police. You guys working?
Huh?
You guys working?
Yeah.
So, have you ever thought about doing law enforcement or anything? No? Okay. How y'all feel about it? Go on, talk to me, man.
You know, man, you know how it go.
Huh?
You know how it go. It's cool when they helping. You know what I'm saying?
And what's the other way you say?
You know how it gets sometimes when you look like us, man.
Okay. Well, one of the biggest things I'm really trying to get out, and we're trying to get, especially from the department, is that we need more of our own people doing this job. You know, so like when you said,
you know, they look like us, you know, I'd rather get stopped by somebody that look like us, right? But my biggest problem I've been facing is a lot of my guys don't want to do it, you know? And when I ask, hey, why? You know, what's the problem? For the most part, God can't even really give me a real answer. You know, I hear a lot, oh man, you know, they've been messing with me, or, you know, they stopped me and just harassed me. And I say, think about it, man. Y'all are from the city. You know what to look for, you know?
It's a lot of other things. You can't cut the lights on just because you see 24s.
Yeah. Right, I'm gonna say this though, but what I can, because a lot of people don't think, everybody kind of forget and they think that the law is on their side. So I'm gonna just say this, 24s, most of the time that the rim, the extra tire stick above, outside the rear wheel, that's a ticket. So granted, I'm not gonna stop you directly for those rims, but those tires are sticking outside the sidewalls of your car, right?
So what you look for when you see a white, or what's the image you get on a white man in a Mercedes Benz?
Honestly, it's not going to be versus what I see, but I'm gonna say this. Now, usually say, and you guys west, right? So if I see that and I'm over on Linwood and Dexter, probably buying some dope. Could be absolutely wrong, but if you're out looking for say the drugs or the guns, you got to know exactly what to look for or what sticks out of place. What look out of place to y'all gonna look out of place to us, right?
Yeah. Hit a 1-2 step with this dance move, get it for this video, and then we might think about, you know what I'm saying, dapping one of y'all.
So,
no, I feel it though.
But y'all,
I definitely understand we need more black people being police officers. But,
and I don't even think it got to be black. It's just all minorities, because we might not. If I go to Southwest, I don't understand nothing about over there.
Yeah.
So I try to stay in the hood. So versus you get an officer from Southwest, they're gonna go and they're gonna stick over there.
Yeah.
So we all human. You might see all of us hanging together. Then you might look over here, you see all of them hanging together. And versus, that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But I know it do make a big difference, especially seeing, like me, I see a lot of people I went to school with. I went to Osborne, anybody from the city, because they be like, oh, and I still send this shit. So they be like, oh man, you stay right up. And they be like, oh man, it changed their perception. But you gotta help change it too. You know what I'm saying? But all right, fellas, man, I really appreciate cooking with y'all, man.
You know, I did start at 19. So I actually applied at 18. So right out of high school, I'm like, hey, this is what I want to do. So I went down there and applied, but we had to actually wait a year, having our driver's license. So I didn't really get hired on until 19. But with that, it was something I always wanted to do. You know, even not having anybody in my family, or my immediate family that was police officers. All of my family was into medical and, nursing and stuff like that. But I was kind of that little kid that I always wanted to be the cop, instead of the robber. My little cousins or, some people, all right, well, Payne, you always want to be the cop. Let us be the cop sometime. So, that's what pushed me. I just seen it simply watching, coming from, 7 and Hoover. I never seen many police officers, come through the neighborhood. And, when I did see them, I'm like, oh man, it was usually when something happened. So I really try to go through or go back in our neighborhoods and actually let them see that we are out here. So in case we do have those couple of people that's just not used to us, being around, you go out, you talk to them. So maybe that can be some motivation for one of those people that want to do it. But you get the streets or your neighborhood, everybody want to talk down on it. Oh, no, don't be the police. Oh, you're going to be the hood, what they call it, the 12. So, a lot of people get deterred from that.
How you feel about the police right now in your city?
I'm gonna tell you this. in the neighborhood that I was growing up in, like certain professions are considered not acceptable. Not to be rude, like not to say that I hate the police.
No, I understand.
But where I come from, you consider the snitch a thief. So not to try to be rude.
No, go ahead, bro.
And it's like you deal with pressures of being in a neighborhood that you're growing up in, and then they see your profession, you're judged off your profession. Some people feel like you are a threat or you're a risk.
I'm really been trying to get, a good ideal of, where our generation is at, far as, how we thinking, what's going on. Right. And like you said, especially, coming from the east side, I know you right, mostly ain't nobody over there like the police. Right. But the biggest thing that I have seen is a lot of us don't want to do the job, but then we complain about the people that is doing the job.
I feel like this, if police help out more in the community, it'd be different. You feel me? I'm talking about like literally helping out, like not just running around whooping and killing. You feel me? And I'm not just saying particularly black people, because I know as you being on the force, I know you see this shit every day. And I don't know if it bothers your brain or not, you feel me, but out here, it's with us.
Right. See, that might be the first time they ever had somebody even just sit and actually talk to them. But for the most part, the biggest problem is, like I said, we can't answer why we don't want to be the police, or even if it's not even police, it's just doing stuff in your community in general in a positive light. I see a lot of guys, they'll go back to their neighborhood, or they'll live somewhere else, but they'll go sell dope in their neighborhood, or, do things like that, but yet you won't go and do something positive, pass out some food or something like that. And I ask a lot of guys, hey, well, what you doing right now, giving back, anything. I mean, I don't care what it is. I mean, even if you freaking passing out, candy to kids, I mean, just whatever. And a lot of them, they ain't not doing nothing. But then they, complain about the stuff that is being done, just not their way. I say, well, if you want it your way, you gotta, as they always say, you want something done your way, you gotta do it.
Yeah, calling radio 5343.
So you gotta come out and make a difference some way, somehow, even if it's just one person you talk to, or two people, or whatever.
Recovered that vehicle that was crashed into
everything makes a difference.
339 East Warren.
But you gotta want to do it.
Businesses aren't the only ones taking safety matters in their own hands. Neighborhood block clubs have become more active than ever. Neighbors are banding together to patrol their areas, and some are even partnering with the Detroit Police Department, like this one here. Take a look at this next clip that goes behind the scenes, how Detroit residents and the Detroit Police Department band together and patrol to keep their area safe.
EP4 base, EP4 mobile.
If you talk to the chief of police of the city of Detroit, or any city, if you talk to the sheriff of Wayne County or any county, if you talk to the state police, the head of the state police of any county, they all will tell you the same thing, that wherever you have an active radio patrol, crime goes down by, on average, 70%. And we can testify to that. The way we're organized, we have 9 patrols in the Green Acres community, each one headed up by a team leader. And that team leader is fully responsible for every and anything that the patrol does. Now, under that umbrella, we have standard operating procedures so that everybody is doing the same thing the same way. What that does for us, by diversifying, it doesn't put the onus on just 1 or 2 people. It's spread out among 7 folks. And since we're all operating for the same purpose, we found that to be the best way to be organized. Radio patrols, or at least our perspective of radio patrol, we are the eyes and ears for the police department. That's our role. We're not deputies. We're not reserve police officers. Our role is if we see something, to say something, and that's the way we do it. First things first, we looked at what are the common causes, what are the common problems. 911 has to prioritize calls they receive. But when we're dealing with a quality of life issue, that's not an emergency and it's not a high priority. That's where the relationship that we've established many years ago with the 12th precinct, 24/7, you don't have to be on patrol, but if you see something that's a quality of life issue, you're able to contact the precinct directly to get assistance. With that relationship with the police department, that allows our volunteers, by use of their cell phone, to communicate 24/7 whenever they see something. You don't have to be on patrol. That helps. In the first year of operation 30 years ago, will be going on 31 years ago, there were 39 home invasions. I think last year we had a total of 6. 1 month last year, our volunteers patrolled 1,365 miles. Now you do the math. 1,365 miles and a half a mile by 1 mile community. Over a period of time, drug houses have been closed, prostitution is a non-issue, the gangs are not here anymore. It's not like just, okay, I'm gonna be on a radar patrol. If you're not working hand in hand with your precinct, it's not gonna work. And in any community, I don't care what community you live in, the folks who are disruptive and up to no good are watching you. But when they know somebody's watching them, it's like if you have a burglar alarm in your house and a burglar alarm, why go into that house when the one next door doesn't have it?
Copy. The network of patrols in the neighborhoods immensely, should I say, intensifies the ability for us to see what's going on. We average approximately 40 to 50 patrols a month. The rate of crime is 50% lower in the Grandmont area than within a 5-mile radius around our community. Neighborhood police officers contribute a lot to help support safety in our community. Our neighborhood police officers know us and they know our patrollers. They participate with the safety meetings, they come to our patrol meetings, and we work together as a team.
EP4 base, EP4 mobile.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of Detroit 360. I'm your host, Sheila Grant. Thanks so much for watching.